This is the pattern. Trace the size you're interested in. If you're using size large, you need to add 2 centimeters at the top to get the last line. I am using a nice viscose fabric which drapes well, and I bought a cheap kind of jewelry with a chain which I'm going to use for the straps. You need to start by folding 2 sides of the fabric. So you have the selvage towards each other and you have folded along the grain line. As you can see, you should lay the pattern piece on the fold. And since I'm not sure about the fit of this, so I'm going to start by adding 1.5 centimeter. And then I'm going to try the dress on and see if I need to make any changes. On the other fold, on the other side, you should fit this piece one more time so you get the back piece. Make a notch in the seam allowance where you see the folding line. I lay right sides together and I'm going to sew the sides. I'm using 1.5 centimeter in seam allowance and I'm going to do this with a basting stitch on the sewing machine so I can try it on. When you do a basting stitch, you sew with a straight stitch, but you have a very long stitch length. Fold according to the folding line and press it, pin it so you can try it on. When you try it on, you need to remember in the armhole you're going to lose 1.5 centimeter in seam allowance. As you can see, it should have a nice draping in the back neckline and in the front neckline. You also need to check how long you want the straps, the shoulder straps, to be. It might be tricky to use the chain, so I have cut a few straps in the fabric and then I pin it and try it on with the straps in fabrics instead. Once you have tried it on and figured out how wide you want the dress to be, you can trim away the basting stitch, and then you're going to sew the side seams with a stretchy seam. If you don't unpick the basting stitch, it's going to break because the fabric is stretchy. When the seam is finished, you can trim away any excess fabric, and as you can see, I have also sewn this upper piece. You should always press when you sew, so I have pressed the seam allowances towards the back, and now I'm going to sew the armhole. So I pin it right sides together like this, and I sew with a stretchy seam and the seam allowance that you figured out was good for you, and then you trim away any excess fabric. Now you can fold this lining piece towards the inside of the dress, and then you can try it on once more. Close to the side seam in the armhole, I'm going to sew a small straight stitch to hold the lining piece in place. Press it, and then it's time to measure your chain, and then you just hand sew it in place. If you don't want to use a chain, you can cut straps of fabrics in the same fabric, and then you just stretch them like this, and then you can do a nice braid, and you can hand stitch that in place instead. Try the dress on and decide how long you want the dress to be. I've decided that I can hem with 2 centimeters. So I fold 2 centimeters towards the back, and I pin it and press it. Then I'm going to sew with a twin needle. If you don't know how to sew with a twin needle, you can find my video tutorial about that. When you sew with a twin needle, it's important that you sew with the right side facing upwards. And once you have pressed your dress, it's finished. If you want this pattern, you can visit my Patreon page, Sew for Kids. You will find many patterns for you and for your kids.